The night was still, smoothly. The wind howled, stirring the dry powder-like dirt of the wasteland ground. After the incidents with the raiders, they moved on to the ruins of the old city, where they found temporary shelter. They took shelter inside an old apartment complex near the outskirts of the city. The complex itself was simple, cozy, and protected. Holes were blasted through some of the sides of the walls. Old support beams above were split into two, and while those beams still stood, still seemed to be holding firmly onto the ceiling above them. They were on the second story of one of the apartments. There was a nice dry carpet and a few pieces of devastated furniture helped tie the piece together. A small balcony was at the end of the room, giving the two an outside view of the area around them. Lester lit a fire with low flames that produced little to no smoke. On top of the fire was a steel pot with the beans he had found earlier bubbling softly. Lester was stirring the beans slowly, carefully making sure that all the pot's contents were receiving the same amount of heat. Sitting near the fire, Lucky gazed at the low flame sadly. She firmly held a dirty old blanket around her body as a cool draft went through the building. Lester stopped stirring the food for a moment and turned to her. "Lucky, you okay?" he asked. She looked at him and shook her head. "I just feel sad." Stirring the beans, then the pot a few times, he asked, "What are you sad about?" Taking the blankets, he wrapped it around her more snugly. "I just don't want you to go." He chuckled. "I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, kiddo." Lucky didn't reply, leaving a brief gap of silence between them. And, tapping the end of the spoon on the edge of the pot, he said, "Dinner's ready. Do you want some?" She nodded, retaining her sad expression. Pulling a bowl out of his bag, he poured some of the piping hot fluid into it. He slid it over to her and smiled at her warmly. "Eat up, kiddo. You'll need the energy." Taking the bowl with her hooves, she sat and began eating. Giving her a playful look, he said, "I know how to cheer you up. Will that make you feel better?" Cocking her head to the side, she gave him a puzzling look. "Well, I guess you'll need just that. After all, nothing fixes the blues like a good old cheering up." Lucky scooted over to the side of the fire to what Lester was talking about. Quickly, he made his way over to an old television set that was against the wall. Fortunately for him, the giant piece of old-world technology had wheels. While not very good ones, it made it easier to move. A huge hole blasted straight through it as he rolled it over to her. Taking the empty can of beans, he tossed it over to her. She caught it and peered at it oddly. Lester got behind the television set so where she could see through the hole. Pointing at the empty can she held, he said, "That's a remote. Use it to change the stations." Holding the remote with both hooves, she pressed down on the can, making a clicking sound with her mouth. Lester then proceeded to make a whooping noise, to make it appear as the television was chasing channels. Standing up on the other side of the television, he started to speak in a dull tone. "Today's weather will be sunny, maybe. With a slight chance of sunshine, maybe. Then we'll have rain. Lots of rain. So pack your umbrella, kids. It's going to be..." Lucky smiled, and pressed the can again, while making the same clicking sound once more. Lester changed instantly, as though another show was on. In a serious tone, he acted as he were in space. "Space, the final frontier. This is the voyages of the Starship Galaxy. Its mission, to find you." "Click," she said, giggling. Quickly, Lester changed the way he acted, and ducked it low to the ground, to the point where Lucky couldn't see behind the television. "Filmed for a live studio audience," he said while showing himself. Within moments, he started singing, "Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesdays, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race through..." Pressing the can, she giggled once more. "That's right." Lester began after as he was moving fast. Pressing the can, she played. She laughed. "Play," she chuckled. Lester started to pretend he was in the show. "Well, how are you doing today?" "Terrible," he replied to himself. "Becky just took my wagon." He gasped. "Whoa there, partner. You and Becky? That's a shocking thought." Putting his hook to the side of his mouth, he made a low laughing sound, as though the audience was laughing. Lucky started laughing at the stallion's antics. Only after a few seconds of laughing, she began to cough gruffly. Lester stopped what he was doing instantly and came to her worryingly. Resting a hoof on her forehead, he asked, "You okay? Do you have a fever, or are you choking on something, or..." She playfully nuzzled him back and giggled. "I'm fine." Some of the bean juice has made me cough. He whipped his brow in relief and sat next to her.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. Did you like that, or was it too much?
She snuggled next to him with the blanket wrapped around her. Yeah, I like the one about the pony and Becky.
I like that too.
He cooed, putting a hoof on her head and ruffling her mane. After ruffling her mane, she rested her head against his foreleg. Lester?
Yeah, kiddo?
You told me that you can't use magic because it hurts you. Why does it hurt you? He took his free hoof and rubbed the back of his neck uncertainly.
Well, I'm not sure you want to hear that story.
She nuzzled his foreleg, closing her eyes before giving a sweet yawn. I want to hear it, though.
Well, he hadn't a thought. I guess you deserve to know.
She started to gently breathe and listen to a story.
When I was a younger buck, me and a few friends of mine went traveling. Until one day, we stumbled upon a group of raiders outside this old factory. We fought them pretty well. My buddy said the other raiders, but I was fighting with this one raider that strayed up from the main group. He was pretty tough. He gave me some serious knocks to the head. Turns out the factory we were fighting in was filled with barrels of tainted gunk. He thought it was a good idea to stick my head in it. I tried to fight back against him, but he managed to get most of my horn in it. And ever since then, my magic's been strong. But it cost me.
Will you ever get better? He smiled contentedly, pressing a little of her yellow mane to the side.
I hope so. Maybe your uncle at the iron stick could fix me.
I hope he does. Then you won't get hurt anymore.
I hope he does too, Lucky. I hope he does too.
Lester?
Yeah, kiddo?
Can you sing that song for me? The song you were singing when you found me?
Sure.
For some reason, he found it hard to sing the song she mentioned at first. Sighing heavily, he brought up the nerve to start singing gently to her.
Here I stroll down this lonely road, searching for a home, and I found you all alone, soaked to the bone. We ran through the world together, seeing a world I never saw. Oh, we made up new numbers, gazed upon the water in everlasting awe. Here I stroll down the road, I'm not lonely, sad, or mean. Now we walk through the days like an everlasting dream.
Small soft snores came from her as she drifted off to sleep, with her head resting on his leg. He looked down at her and smiled, feeling a wonderful warmness fill his chest.
Good night, Lucky. Get your rest. We got a long day ahead of us.
He whispered, letting her sleep soundly. The sound of soft clinking metal caused Lucky's ear to twitch. At first, the sound didn't bother her, but as a chilling breeze brushed against her gray coat, she shivered. She tried to pull the blankets he had wrapped around her tighter to prevent the breeze from hitting her. Sadly, a combination of both the giraffe and rotting metal had woken her up. She sat up, rubbing her eyes sleepily. Smacking her mouth, she could tell her mouth was slightly dry. Western? She called tiredly. Scanning the room around her, Western was next to the balcony, packing her things inside her bags. By the way things would look, Western seemed to be almost done packing their things. The last few items he was packing were the pot, bowl, and bowls along with a group of papers and pens. As he packed the pot, it clanked loudly. At the very least, this explained where the rattling was coming from. The once warm, comforting fire was now reduced to nothing more than a charred, smoldering collection of blackened wood. Tiny bits of smoke rose up from the smoldering pit. A few embers kept what was left of the fire burning. Lester noticed that Lucky was up, and quickly put the last bowl inside his bag.
Did I wake you up, kiddo? If you want to sleep a little longer, I can give you a little more time to...
No, she yawned, stretching out 4 legs. I'm up. He smiled at her, putting his saddlebag on his back.
I didn't sleep too well last night, so I got up earlier and started packing this up.
Taking the blanket she used to sleep with, she handed it over to Wester.
Did you sleep well?
Wester asked. Lucky took her hoof and rubbed the side of her head, which felt slightly sore. I slept okay. My head kind of hurts still.
He kneeled down to her. You probably slept on wrong. But that's okay. I'll go away in a bit.
She blinked down. In his eyes, she could tell that he had something interesting to share.
Hey, you want to see something cool?
The thought of what this cool thing was intrigued her. Sure, what is it? Mostly for her to follow him, he led her to the balcony of the old abandoned apartments. Unlike the night before, the whole area around him was now visible, as gray light from the twisted cloud cover above illuminated the world around him. For miles, the land what was consumed by darkness was now visible. Ruins of an old city surrounded them. Taller 3 to 4-story brick buildings lined the edges of cracked streets, filled with rusted wagons from days long since past. In the distance was a large yellow antenna, one that looked like it broadcasted some kind of signal out to the wasteland. Wester pointed to the distant yellow landmark.
You see that?
Lucky nodded at him, seeing the antenna at distance.
That's our destination, Ironstead. If what I've heard about that town is true, it should be protected enough from raiders. Which means that your uncle should be there, safe and sound.
How far away is it, Wester?
Hopefully not far. It's near the center of the city, and by the way the land around here looks, we'll have to do some exploring to get around some of the more blocked areas.
A sense of excitement filled Philly's heart. The very thought of her uncle warmed her, because after their long trip, this was the end. The final stretch of their journey, and nothing would get in the way of their reaching Ironstead. Patting her lightly on the back, Wester playfully chuckled.
Come on, kiddo, let's go. If we move quickly, we should make it there in no time. Who knows? Those slurry pink cupcakes might be there waiting for us.
Together, they strolled out of the apartment complexes into the ruined streets of the old city. Like Wester had mentioned, several buildings seemed to have collapsed entirely, causing some of the more direct paths to be blocked by the rubble. This didn't bother them much, for whenever they came to an impasse such as this, they tried finding another way around. Most of the time, they did find alternate routes, so it just made their job of reaching the town that much more of a challenge. It didn't take them too long to reach the main street of the city. Following the road straight down would take them straight into the city center. Trying along the sidewalk, echoing metal bounced off the pre-war structures. Eerie was the whole city, and the bleak lack of sound fueled the strange feeling. Wester kept in mind that even though all was quiet, at any sudden moment, the silence would easily be broken by the sounds of gunfire. Every now and again, he would scan the area around him carefully while they moved. To him, it was very reassuring to have some understanding of the environment around him. Just because this was their final stretch didn't exempt them from being attacked at any moment. To their right was an old corner store. Like most of the other buildings in the city, it too was a damaged, deteriorating building of waste. Near the store's entrance was a beaten-up sparkle cola machine. Smaller dents covered the sides, along with cherry red chip paint peeling off its front. The light over the machine was advertised the product flickered sporadically. Wester stopped to glance at the machine.
Hey, Lucky, you thirsty?
She paused too, turning her attention to the machine he was looking at. Her mouth was dry. Looking at the machine near the store's entrance didn't seem inviting. Do you think that machine still works? She asked.
Wester shrugged. It won't hurt to find out, would it?
He nudged her gently.
Let's go take a peek. Maybe there's still some cola inside.
They both came to the machine. Dirt-stained broken glass crunched underneath their hooves as the machine made a low, almost daunting humming sound. Wester rubbed confidently as Hostigair, peering down to the filly outside.
What's a pro in action, kiddo?
Wester buffily said, taking the knife from his side. Holding the blade firmly in his mouth, he stuck the end of the groove along the side of the machine. All the while, he muttered to himself as he attempted to pry the machine open. Pulling hard, the machine ached and moaned metallically. He grunted, applying more direct force to the machine and opening a groove. Lucky had stirred him uneasily. Stepping up to him, she asked, Do you need any help? He raised the hoof up to her and shook his head, keeping the knife dug firmly to the machine.
No, I'm good. Just give me a second,
he charily uttered. With a few more good pulls, a loud snap made both of them jump slightly. The loud noise he had heard, however, was followed by the machine's door creaking, with the now open cola machine ready to be looted. With one hoof, he pushed the cola machine's door to the side, exposing the inner workings of the contraption. Both ponies stared disappointingly into it. Rusted gears and valves filled the machine, and what little soda was left wasn't even soda. It was just bottles. Dusty old bottles that were empty and dry. Hey! Free caps! Rubbing the top of Lucky's head, he flattened his ears mournfully.
Sorry, kiddo. Looks like we won't get a chance to drink anything till we get there.
No sooner had he said that, her eyes were wide with excitement. Near the end of the mess of bottles looked like a brown bottle filled with some kind of liquid. She reached inside, and in her hose he held a full bottle of Sparkle Cola. Lester stood there, baffled by the sight. He grinned an embarrassing grin while scratching his thick brown mane on his head.
Well, shoot. If I am getting old if I didn't see that. They say the first signs of old age is blindness, after all.
Twisting the cap out the bottle's top, a crisp, satisfying hiss graced their ears. Bubbles formed near the top of the inside of the bottle, not before quickly returning to normal brown fizzy liquid it once was.
Drink up. You found it? You deserve it,
Lester amerly added. She glanced down at the bubbling drink and shook her head, reaching out to him. I won't have any unless you have some too. Lester was slightly taken back by her response.
I'm fine, kiddo. You found it? It's yours.
No, she insisted. You open the machine, you get some too.
Well, shucks, kid.
He smiled thankfully, picking out the drink with one huff.
You know, you still could have had the whole thing.
She shook her head out, giving him wide, sparkle-filled eyes. I know, but you deserve some too. You're my friend. My friends get to share what we have.
You're a sweet kid, you know that?
He replied, taking a few sips of the carrot-flavored beverage. He sighed blissfully for taking his last few sips.
Here, you have the rest.
She smiled, taking the soda with a small hose. See, we share what we got, she said, taking a few large gulps of the soda herself. Before they knew it, the bottle was empty. She sighed contentedly, feeling the carbonated drink tickle her belly. Dropping the now empty bottle on the ground, they moved on. They trotted off down the street. Whisker kicked the bottle to the side.
Next time, I'll have to make them last longer than that, unless I get infected with hiccups.
They both chuckled to themselves as they continued onward down the main street of the city. Overhead, the clouds twisted, and the sound of thunder echoed in the far-off distance, breaking the eerie silence of the ruined city. A rusty bent can rattled and shook as it leapt forward. Lucky was kicking the can forward with one of her hooves, smiling while she did so. I'm not going to tell my friends and my children that this is Last of Us. It entertained her, seeing the look of content of happiness on her face or Wester's heart. The two had come close to the end of the main street, for across from them was a massive bridge. The cables and supports that once held the bridge together now creaked loudly as the old weathered steel of the structure ached. A dry riverbed laid underneath it. Old sewer pipes that once leaked old sewage into the river now sat dry like the river that was once before them. Demolished carts lined the side of the bridge, some hung off edges, holding onto the breads tediously by the old twisted railings of the bridge. Lucky had started to get a little ahead of Wester, and this made him worry slightly. He wasn't sure what was inside the city, for even while they had not seen much thus far, the possibility of danger lurked around every inch of the ruins.
Kiddo, don't stray out too far,
Wester told her. She kicked the can a few more times before responding to him. Okay, Wester, I just want to kick it a few more times. He kept his gaze on her for a few moments, before quickly scanning the area around them. From where they were, it could only be an hour or so before the settlement of Ironstead. Wester knew if they continued on that path, where they were going at would slowly reach the destination by then. Suddenly, a terrifying shiver raced down his back. His ear twisted as the far-off sound of voices reached his ears. Terror filled him. Getting low to the ground, he moved low as fast as he could to Lucky, who had not yet heard the voices. As he gleefully prepared to kick the can once more, only before she could, Wester came to her with a sight of panic-struck look. Urgently, he whispered to her, Lucky, get down! At first, she was puzzled by his behavior, but when Wester had the terrifying look on his face, she knew something was wrong. Complying with his orders, she immediately got low while he busted up to her. Staying low, they moved behind the old concrete divider near a charred wagon by the alleyway. By now, the voices he had heard were more clear. The voices in question were rugged, scratchy, and rough, much like the voices of the raiders he had encountered the day before. Wester raised his head carefully over the top of the divider, trying his best not to expose himself. What is it? Lucky asked with worry in her voice. Wester continued to peer over the top of the divider for a few more seconds.
The raiders. Quite a few of them. Probably the gang those raiders we found at the store belonged to.
From what he could see, the raiders seemed to be scanning the area. They were not on patrol. The way they investigated, everything they passed suggested otherwise. They were looking for something, or rather, someone. Each raider was heavily armed, equipped with some sort of rifle and armored in thick leather barling. A mare spoke first, sounded like the leader of the group. "You find anything, Split Tooth?" "Nah, nothing. Not a fucking sign of anything," the stallion named Split Tooth answered. Her voice became agitated. "You keep looking. I want to find the police who murdered our guys. When do you find them? Bring me their fucking heads!" There was a loud, tired murmur that came from the rest of the group. "Quit your complaining! If you don't find them soon, the gold that's been ruining these parts will. I'll be damned to see you get torn to pieces by some mutated freaks first!" The two ponies were horribly scared. The fear of the raiders finding their location caused the terror inside them to intensify. Lucky looked up at Wester with a frightened expression in her eyes. "What are we going to do?" she asked Wester, keeping her voice to a minimum. Wester surveyed the area around him. In the alleyway, something caught his attention. An old sewer entrance. The raiders' voices grew louder, and as with each every passing moment, they grew closer to him. He pointed to the sewer entrance's brown lid that led down to the sewers below.
"There, we'll go down there."
Lucky gazed at him out curiously. "Where will it take us?" Wester glanced over to the fire for a second, detecting a point systems of the offensive raiders.
"Hopefully past them. Once we're away from them, we'll probably make it to Ironstead."
Before Lucky could respond, a stallion in the raider group shouted, "They heard something! Sounded like it came from over there, behind that cart!" Urgently, Wester took one of Lucky's hooves.
"Come on, we need to move."
The Garrity dashed down the alleyway to the sewer entrance. He did his best to lift the heavy cast iron cover quietly. Once it was removed from the sewer entrance, a ladder was exposed, leading down to the dark underground. Wester motioned his head toward the ladder leading down to the sewer.
"Get down, Lucky, hurry. Don't worry, I'll be right behind you."
She climbed to the hole uncertainly, making her way down slowly. Once he was far enough down, he quickly jumped inside, taking the heavy manhole cover and placing it on top of the sewer's entrance. It was pitch black. The sound of water rushing down the tunnels echoed off the house loudly, and a musty, moist smell filled the air. Wester made his way down to the bottom of the ladder, upon which he removed his flashlight from his bags and turned it on. Instantly, the small area around the two ponies was illuminated. Lucky felt slightly nervous by all the darkness around him. So moving close to him, she hugged his leg, trembling slightly. He just looked down at her for a brief second and kneeled down to her.
"Lucky, sugar, don't be scared,"
he whispered in a comforting voice. He took the knife from his leg and presented it to her.
"I think you should take this. It'll protect you from any nasty monsters."
She sat on her haunches, taking the knife in both hands. I don't know if I could take this."
He gave her a reassuring smile. "Sure you can.
What if I hurt somebody or—"
"I know it might seem scary at first. We all gotta defend ourselves,"
he said, resting a hoof on top of the knife's hilt.
"This isn't a toy, kiddo. It doesn't have any fancy lights or exit phrases. It's a tool."
Wester took one hoof and pointed directly at the space between his eyes.
"If anything, or anyone tries hurting you, take the end of that knife and plunge it right between your eyes. If you can't get them there, try the neck or chest."
Just with the hilt, put the knife close to her chest. I think I understand."
"Just remember, kiddo, use it only as a last resort. Just because you owned a knife doesn't mean it can't harm you too."
She took the knife in its sheath and tied it around her leg. Chuckling, Wester ruffled her mane playfully.
"Swear, at this rate you'll become a warrior in no time."
Lucky managed to return a small smile. Gesturing to his hoof for her to follow, he said,
"Come on, kiddo. We'll see where this thing ends."
In the darkness they moved. Only the light from Wester's flashlight gave them sight in the dark underground. As the two ponies moved on, they came to a large room filled with pipes and pressure tanks. The rusting wires seemed to be hard off from their path. A sign painted in chipped white letters read, "Exit," a small white arrow painted below it on the side of the doorway leading in. All along the top and the sides of the walls were old pipes, rattling, hissing, and leaking out built-up pressure. Trained slightly, they entered cautiously. Besides the large iron pressure tanks were several larger than average crates. Each crate was stacked neatly on top of each other. While the two ponies didn't pay one boxes any mind, He still took into account that it could be used as a form of cover in case they ran into something less than desirable. The room didn't seem to end, and flashing his light toward the end of the room, there in white painted layers was the word exit above a door. As they came to the door at the pressure room, ended up gathering a horrible, ghastly hiss echoed through the room. Both ponies froze where they were, staring directly at the exit, nearly 50 ponies away. Two could make out the dark figure of someone. Or rather, something. Oh shit, it's a tyrant! Lester nudged Lucky worryingly. He turned off his light. He put a hoof to his mouth, signaling that they needed to be quiet. She nodded back to him. Back to the two went to the wooden crates. Like the rest of the sewers, the room they were in gave off greenish aura off to the walls. It wasn't dark enough to be blind, but not illuminated enough to be seen easily. Heavy footsteps could be heard, as their sounds echoed off the walls. Clearly, an anxious sweat started to build on their brows. The sounds of ghastly panting shortly followed. Lester looked over the top of the crates to make out the dark silhouette in the room with them. Lucky poked her head up as well, trying her best. She found it hard to make out the odd creature. It seemed to limp and shuffle slowly around the room. "It's a ghoul," Lester whispered. "A what?" Lucky responded quietly. "Ghoul. Their ponies have taken a little too much taint for their bodies to handle." "So they're like zombies?" "Yeah, like zombies." He glanced once more to the crate and checked the room quietly. "It looks like there's only one, but I'm not sure. Maybe two? I don't know. If I could just get close enough, I could kill it quietly." Lucky felt worried for her friend's safety. "Be careful," she muttered. "I'll be back, kiddo. This shouldn't be too difficult." Hey. It might be a nice ghoul. It might not be feral," Lester said before moving around the crate and up to the ghoul. He stepped lightly as he could, trying best not to make a sound. As he came up to the creature, however, he stepped on some gravel they had not seen. In the quiet room, the sound was loud and clear. Like a watchdog, snapping to attention, the ghoul jerked itself up and scanned the area around it. At this point, Lester knew that killing it quietly may not be an option, so to be safe, he pulled out his pistol. With it gripped tightly in his mouth, he continued his advance. The horrifying creature sniffed the air and moved itself in a general direction. It became shocked. Lester stood absolutely still in terror as the monster came closer and closer to him. Finally, it was within arm's length of him. If there was any time to take on the creature, now was the time. Pulling the trigger back, he fired a gun. Only instead of a gunshot, the gun made a disappointing clicking sound. He panicked. The gun had jammed on him. Police full focus on him. The ghoul shrieked and tackled him. "Shoot!" He swore as it pinned him to the ground. The gun fell out of his mouth and into the darkness. Above him, the monster bit and snarled at him like a mad dog trying to kill its prey. Above his forehead on his chest, he kept the creature off of him, but his had its full weight on him, and he knew it couldn't last forever. "Lucky, hurry, get the gun!" Lester cried out, struggling to keep the ghoul off him. Lucky's heart pounded as he raced to Wester's aid. Desperately, he searched for the gun near him, only without some sort of light. It seemed almost impossible as the dark, worn metal of the weapon camouflaged itself well within the dark floor. What she did, what she felt was right next, pulled the knife from her side with the intent of killing the ghoul. However, out of the darkness, another ghoul leapt onto her. With the knife still in her mouth, she struggled desperately to get out of the second creature's grasp. By pure force and determination, she wriggled free and confronted the monster. Her heart pounded fiercely as fear spread itself through her body, but she had to be brave, for Wester and for their own survival. Taking a massive sweep at the ghoul, and with the knife, she managed to launch the whole knife into the creature's side, cried out monstrously in pain, staggering back from her for a moment. Sadly, the creature's pain did not keep it from attacking her. This time it was filled with monstrous rage. In a mad frenzy-like state, it attacked her. She screamed as it hit her, pinned her to the ground. "Wester, help me!" she cried. Her cries rang out in his head. Of pure emotion, a magical aura formed around his horn. In one powerful blast of magical energy, the ghoul on top of him blasted into dust. He stood up, eyes glowing bright velvet color, heart glowing equally as bright. "Leave her alone!" He screamed, madly blasting the determined ghoul above her. Having his head vaporized, the ghoul fell to the ground dead. Lucky had her forelegs blocking her face, shivering with her eyes closed. Wester coughed hoarsely as his legs became weak. He found it hard to keep himself balanced, for all his sense was disoriented. The room around him spun, and a loud ringing filled his ears. Wester could feel the blood flow from his nose as he stumbled and coughed. He crashed into a wooden crate, trying his best to keep himself together, but no amount of will or determination could prevent his body from coughing up blood. Lucky slowly got up from her position. Desperately came over to him as she listened to him wheeze and cough loudly. Moving to his side, she took one of his hooves. Lowering her tone, she asked, "Wester, okay? Did it hurt you?" What? He mumbled, shaking his head and blinking. "Wester, are you okay?" She murmured once more. Slowly, his sense started to return and his head pounded. His chest felt sore.
"Fine. Did it hurt you? Are you hurt?"
She put a hug to his forehead. "No, I'm fine. You feel warm, you sound weak." He coughed a few more times, trying to cope with the pain.
"Fine. Just got a few punches at me and all."
"Don't ever scare me like that again, Wester. Please, don't."